Hey dudes and dudettes, it's me, E.H. Ivins, and this is another edition of The Radical Reset. Today, we're going to talk about the next of my series leading up to the election on issues. We're going to talk about Trump's taxes. Why are we going to talk about Trump's taxes? Because the New York Times wrote essentially a book about Trump's taxes this week. The New York Times published an article, and I know that's a lot of you, by the way, who listen to me and tend to be very, very libertarian in the way you think. I, of course, am anti-political, which is government by selection, not election. But for this series, I'm not going to talk about anti-politism. I'm going to talk about what is, which is the election that's ahead of us. And there are three candidates to consider, of course. There's Joe Biden, there's Donald Trump, and there's Joe Jorgensen, the libertarian. But in this episode, we're going to talk about Donald Trump because of his income taxes and because of the New York Times story. And I have to be honest with you, this is the issue that I can't believe he's gotten away with as long as he has, because what the New York Times has done is expose him for the fraud that he is. Okay, so I just want you to follow with me, okay? And those of you who have listened to me from the beginning know that lots of times I'll agree with Donald Trump. And lots of times, for example, in the last episode of The Radical Reset, I endorsed him picking a Supreme Court justice. He's now picked, I had predicted it last time, it turned out to be true, Amy Coney Barrett. And Amy Coney Barrett is a terrific nominee, and I think she's going to be approved, and yada, yada, yada. And I agree with him for lots of reasons that I'm not going to rehash in this episode. But here I'm going to go after him because this is why Donald Trump is a fraud. And even the New York Times has really kind of missed it. I mean, well, first of all, the story. If you can get through it, try to read it. And I don't think this story is going to get the kind of traction. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think it's going to get the kind of traction it deserves because it's a story about income taxes. And this article, which is as long as a small novel, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm going to guess that article is at least 20,000 words. It should win the Hugo Award for best novella of the year. I mean, it's a novella, a short novel in a newspaper story. It's so long and so tedious and so detailed, as it has to be, because it's dealing with incredibly complicated tax issues, that I encourage you to read it, but let me just interpret it for you, and then you can decide if you want to read it yourself. But it was a very well done story. It was a very fair story. It was very well presented. And yes, I know that those of you on the right you think of the New York Times as the failing New York Times and all that Donald Trump crap. But the fact is, it is the flagship newspaper still of the United States. And if you don't read it, you're missing a lot of good stuff. So anyway, and it didn't get to be great by being a rag. I'm sorry. You know, Donald Trump can say whatever he wants. The New York Times is liberally biased. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, it's a high quality publication. And this particular article is very high quality. And certainly the writers, it's obvious as you read the articles, because they kept fishing around for some kind of Russian connection that wasn't there. It's another exoneration of the mysterious Russian connection. It's not there. But what comes out in his finances is, here's a guy, if you take a step back and you look at what this whole story is saying, it's what I've said about him from the beginning. And if you go all the way back to things I've said and written, you'll find out it's true. Here's what I've said. I've always thought he was a phony, okay? That he's a billionaire. He's a legend in his own mind. Donald Trump, in a sense, has been successful at what I was trying to do, frankly, and ended up in prison doing, okay? Donald Trump should have been in prison with me, to be perfectly honest, because what he's done is borrowed hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to give the facade of a billionaire when in fact his underlying businesses all lose money. And that's what when my business collapsed in the collapse of 2008, I raised a whole bunch of borrowed money trying to save the day and ran out of time. And I did not have Donald Trump's resources. And, there comes a point when you borrow money from banks that you owe them so much money, they can't let you sink. They have to lend you more, and they do. And that's where Donald Trump was. He is just me writ large in that sense. So I really understand his business model. And what it comes down to is, he's never built a successful business. None of his businesses are successful but one. And that one business, how he makes all of his money is being Donald Trump, or how he has historically made all of his money. Then what he's done is start all these other businesses that fail. Then all these other businesses that are failing and losing money, he takes as a write-off against his income he makes as being Donald Trump, and consequently wipes that income out and essentially pays no income tax. The scandal isn't that he doesn't pay income tax. Look, if you're smart enough to take advantage of every tax break, God bless you. I don't care who you are. If you're smart enough to legally take advantage of every twist in the income tax code, and not pay tax, then all I say is you're smart, because they're legal. There's nothing wrong with doing something that's legal. When the people design these plans, let me tell you why somebody, for example, huge liberals are also are billionaires at the same time. How can a billionaire be a leftist? And the answer is they're so big that they use their clout to have their Congress people that they own basically manipulate the tax code so that no matter what tax increase is done, they get special little breaks within the code for their particular businesses unique to them, and they all do what Donald Trump did. But the difference between them and Donald Trump is they're actually successful people who are making money with successful businesses. Bill Gates built Microsoft, which is a successful business that makes a profit. Jeff Bezos built Amazon, which is a successful business that earns a profit. Okay, Elon Musk has built Tesla and SpaceX, and before that PayPal, and all the other cool things he's done. He's just a genius. And his businesses, even SpaceX, which is now losing money, is on a trajectory to make money. Okay, there's a foreseeable trajectory to make money. But Donald Trump's businesses, from his so-called real estate empire to his universities to all this other shit he's done, all lose money. His casinos were a disaster. And if you look at his career it's been evident. He's been a wrecking crew of businesses, and he's basically fucked over everybody he's ever done business with for years and years and years. But through his ability to borrow enormous amounts of money that are going to come due, he's been able to build this facade of being a billionaire on borrowed money. And, unlike the rest, now as an ex-president, even if he loses, his speaking fees, he's got a cult following. His speaking fees are going to be in the millions and millions and millions. There's nothing like a sucker who wants to get fleeced. It's just the same as with a televangelist. You could disgrace Jimmy Swaggart, just to use one example, but he came back and kept preaching and raising money from the gullible, because there's no end to the supply of gullible. So in a weird way, if Donald Trump loses, this actually bails him out, because the other thing that you get from the income tax review is he's got hundreds of millions of loans coming due over the next 4 years that he's going to have a very, very hard time paying. And the conflict of interest between being president and being a private businessman is going to come to fore. And unless his kids are a lot smarter than he is, they're not going to have the same magic touch that he is. So he's going to have to basically violate the separation that presidents normally have between their private and their public lives, and it's going to be a whole nother scandal. But here we have a case where if he loses, in a weird way, he wins, because his fanatical, cult following will be paying him for books and speeches forever. And frankly, I think that's why he ran for president. I think that he never thought he was going to win to begin with. And I think this New York Times story elucidates this extremely well. It's all a mirage. Donald Trump, the billionaire, is a mirage. And it's propped up by debt and smoke and mirrors. And by being now an ex-president, or if he had run for president and lost, he would have been worth a fortune in fees and television appearances and everything else, and would have made tons and tons of money, and he's going to make even more now as an ex-president. I think in his heart of hearts, Donald Trump doesn't really mind if he loses. In fact, there's such a freight train of disaster coming down the track right now, I'm not sure anyone in their right mind should want to win. I mean, the only candidate who has a program that could actually save the day is Jo Jorgensen, the Libertarian. And realistically, although she's on the ballot in all 50 states, she's not going to win. So consequently, we're going to get two mainstream candidates, and Donald Trump pretends not to be mainstream, but he is in many ways. Yes, you supporters, I know that he's done a lot of out-of-the-box things, but in the end, he's run our country the same way he's run his companies. He promised us, you might recall, during the last election, that he was going to balance the budget in 8 years, and we're, way off that track, because he's doing with the country what he's done personally, as his income tax shows, which is he's going to borrow us into such a phenomenal debt that our bankers, in his mind, are going to have to keep lending us money. Bankers, in this case, being the Federal Reserve, to keep the whole thing afloat. And because he's near illiterate when it comes to economics, I don't think he completely understands the debasing of the currency that he's doing. But anyway, I could go on and on and on. So let's stay on subject for today and wrap this thing up. Donald Trump is a fraud. The income tax returns prove that. When I say he's a fraud, he's not a real estate billionaire. He's not a business billionaire. He's a Donald Trump billionaire. The business that made him at least ostensibly look like a billionaire is the borrowed money he's raised from the properties that he inherited from his father and leveraged from there. He's leveraged a lot of real estate. Leverage is a fancy word for, by the way, borrowed shit tons of money, and used extra borrowed money to run his own life and live in a style that would lead you to believe that he's richer than he is. But believe me, he is not in the league with real business heroes like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, pick your favorite self-made entrepreneur, Warren Buffett, the Walton family. Look, America's got jillions and jillions of successful people, but Donald Trump is only successful at being the P.T. Barnum of American business and politics. Donald Trump is a fraud. Okay, that's the end of this podcast. So before I go, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to click the notification button for the next time. These come out twice a week, so the next one will be out in about 4 days. And until then, thank you very, very, very much. Oh, by the way, don't forget to check out my other podcast. It's called The Dad You Wish You Had. It's on the YouTube. It's on the YouTube. It's on the YouTube, children. It's on the YouTube on that internet thing. Okay, sorry. That was some kind of a weird slip that only an old guy could do. I started another YouTube channel. It's called The Dad You Wish You Had. It's for those of us who were raised either by fathers that were physically absent or mentally checked out and wish that they had a dad to talk to. Of all the things I've done in my life, the one thing I've done really fantastic is be a dad. I'm the dad you wish you had. Check out the podcast, the YouTube channel. And it's, by the way, no politics, no religion in that one. And I don't swear, amazingly enough. I keep my mouth clean. There's no fucks on The Dad You Wish You Had. Anyway, so join me there if you have a chance. And that's it for today. Thank you very, very much. And until next time, this is E.H. Ivins signing off.